Okay.
There we go. Maureen, hi. Welcome to the Oak Park Public Library. If you wouldn't mind introducing yourself and telling us a little bit about yourself, we'd appreciate it.
Okay. Many of you, I think, know me because I recognize some names from the participants list. But I have been doing family history for about 40 years now, have been a family history staff member at 3 different centers over that 40-year period, currently working at Crystal Lake and Buffalo Grove. I'm members of various and sundry genealogical societies, both here in the United States and also in Scotland, where my mother's family's from. I just do a lot of speaking and I help a lot of people at the centers. And my specialties are technically Chicago, Scotland, the Scots-Irish movement in the United States, Quebec, and the Northwest Territory states, which would be the states around the Great Lakes. So I think that kind of is a quick snapshot of me.
Okay. Well, I think that's great. So why don't we just go ahead and jump right into our webinar today. Of course, I'm kind of having one of those moments where, you know, I'm trying to imagine everybody in their underwear and I'm trying to remember exactly. Okay, here we go. Okay, so here's what's new at Family Search. Okay, and that's the title of today's program. And now we will go ahead and start with the program.
Okay.
Okay.
Nope.
I'm going to try and figure out what people want to see a list of the participants. So I'm going to see what I can do about that. Okay.
All right. Ed, can you see my title slide?
Yes.
Okay, and then I think we're ready to go. So this is going to be a whirlwind because we need to do this in an hour, and I don't know if there'll be enough time to really do all of the questions, but certainly Ed can pass on any questions afterwards to me by way of email if we run out of time. Let's first look at some basics. Now, I know you all don't have the handout yet, but hopefully you will get the handout and then you can look at the recording and then make your notes. But some of the basics, when you first go to FamilySearch.org, This is what you'll see on the screen. This is the old family search screen that most people are familiar with seeing. What you need to do first is to come up here to the upper right and either sign in if you already have a family search account, and many people do, or if you don't, you created an account, and now this is new. This is why I'm including it. Not only can you use your old family search account, but you can now also log in using your Google username and password or your Facebook username and password. So you do not have to set up a separate family search account any longer if you prefer not to do that. I would recommend that you do the family search account because it is private in the sense that it is not sold to anybody else, and it will allow you a better access, easier access to everything on the site. But you do not have to. You can use Google or Facebook if you choose. Now, once you sign in, this is the new screen. It's not that new. It's been around now for a number of months, since at least the beginning of the year, but it is now more focused on your own research. So as you do more and more work on family search, what shows on this opening screen, you notice now I am signed in up here, then it will show what I've been working on, various people that I have hints for, and so on. The other thing I want you to note from here on this opening view is that this logo, Family Search in green, this will be on just about every page within Family Search. And as you've gotten yourself way into the website and you want to start something new, or you literally are so confused you don't know where you're at and you need to get back to the beginning, all you have to do is click on the logo and it will bring you back to this page. There are some other new things on here that I'm not going to take time to explain or work on, but you can certainly play on with the friends and hints. But the other part of this new page is up here in the upper right, and I'm going to blow it up so we can really see it. And these symbols, let's walk through them from right to left. The first one with the bell means that there are some hints, and you notice there's a red circle. So there are some current hints that I have not yet looked at and have either accepted or rejected. This indicates that I have received a blind email from another user in Family Search. It would have the red dot if there was an unread message. And usually that will be somebody else who's worked on one of my ancestors and would like to exchange information or something of that sort. This is the Help Center, the question mark, that's the ubiquitous Help Center. This one is a globe, and you can actually change the language that the site will be in. It defaults to English because we live in the United States, but you can choose a whole range of other, I think it's up to 90 languages now, including Spanish, but there's Italian, there's Chinese, there's Japanese, there's Greek, there's Russian, and they would appear in those languages if that is more comfortable for you, or if you're working with someone that is more comfortable in one of those other languages. And then finally, this little place marker, which comes from Google Maps and other map sites. This, if you press this, it will take you to a function to find a family history center near where you are or anywhere in the world. And that's a good use if you are taking a research trip somewhere and you would like to find out if there's a family search center in that location, then you can find that out by using this little place marker up here. All right. But now there's one other thing on this homepage I want you to be aware of, but you're going to need to scroll all the way to the very bottom of the screen. And when you get all the way down, you'll see this line will appear. And the one I want you to be aware of is the word blog. Keeping up with what's new at Family Search is almost impossible by yourself. You have to be a Family Search follower on Facebook and Instagram. You should be, if you're a church member, you need to be in church news. But one of the other ways, and probably the most efficient way, is to be signed in, to be regularly checking the blog, to be signed in for their newsletter and so forth. The blog, and let me give you some examples, has currently, these are the 3 newest posts to the blog. There's an entire now article on finding U.S. immigration ports because they just had some lessons, some webinars online about doing that. Here's another one on all about the family tree, if you've never worked on it, and I will talk about it a little bit later. And then they have now introduced a new function within Family Search called Family Search Country Pages. And currently they are available only for these countries. This is new, so it's being built, and it will give additional countries as we go forward. And when you look at one of these, you'll notice up here it talks about where your family comes from, gives you the resources to start your research, and links to the Family Search record collections. There are actual little background papers on each of these countries that will help you get started or give you an idea of what's new within that country's resources. And then the other thing that the blog does about every week or every other week, it isn't always consistent, but it's at least on a Friday, they will post the new historical records. This one was posted on July 24th, and I just noticed just within the last half hour, they've posted for this week. But then if you click here, it will tell you what countries new records have been added to and how many. So again, this is a way to keep up on what's new in the records. This is the blog, and it's at the very bottom of the homepage. Then one other thing I want you to be aware of, and I apologize, I forgot to put this in the handout, are these peculiar little symbols that Family Search is using to indicate accessibility to a record. So if you see the pedigree chart symbol, that means that record has been linked to an individual in the tree as a source. In this one, it's a quick overview, basically the indexing of a particular record in entry within a database. This symbol, the magnifying glass, means that this digital record has been indexed. The camera that's solid black, but with no key, you can see the difference between the two. This camera tells you that this particular digital image is available to you at home at any time. It is free to find at any time. But the camera with the key means that it's only available to view on the website itself if you are at a Family Search affiliate library or at one of the centers. You cannot look at the key ones at home. You have to look at them either at a Family Search center or at an affiliate library. And then finally, there are still a few where by contract agreement with the original record holder, the copyright holder, we can only look at them by microfilm, and that is going to be primarily at the Family Search Library in Salt Lake City, or some centers may have it, and I'll show you later on how you can determine if it's at a center near you. These are not digitized. They are only available as microfilms. And since we no longer circulate them, it becomes much more difficult to find them. So those are the little symbols that will pop up now. And hopefully you'll look at the recording later on and be able to take more time to write down what they all mean. All right, moving on. Let's go to our research wiki. I'm starting with the wiki because most people don't understand, A, that it's even there, and B, that they use it. And I feel that this is always the starting point in Family Search for any topic, no matter whether it's how to do something or you're looking for resources in a geographic area. It is right now has over 100,000 articles with links to databases, websites, resources, etc. And you note that the wiki adds about 100 new articles daily. So it's almost impossible to keep up with what's new on the wiki, other than to go look. So when you go here, this is the home page. Again, you're going to go up to the word search. And when you click there, you get all of these options. And we're going to start down here at the bottom, Research Wiki. And this is what comes up for your search page. Now you notice there's only one search box up here. There is a reference to going to find search tips to do it, but the easiest thing is to write in a topic or a geographical location. So to start, we're going to look at getting started. This seems kind of seems too basic, but there are so many things in getting started that maybe you've never looked at. So I thought it would be a good way to get us going. So here it's family history for beginners, but I would just say for researchers, because all of us need review of the basics as well as taking a look at some things maybe we've never thought of. So here's the outline of what's covered. And then you notice under, for instance, getting started, we have various things that you can look up, including a list of websites for beginners, how to find records and so on. And then deciding where to start looking is the next section. These are all live links that take you to another article within the wiki explaining just that topic. If you've not looked at family history getting started before, I would suggest you do. As I said, it's just a really good review. So coming back here, I typed in the word Illinois. Now, as soon as I typed Illinois in that search box, and I apologize that this is blurry, but I had to take this as a screen print. It immediately opens up a box, a drop-down box where Illinois is the first word, but now it gives me all of these other wiki articles, separate articles that have something to do with Illinois. The first one is the one we're going to look at, but here's Illinois-Michigan Canal. Here's Illinois County in Virginia, which is pre-revolution. You may not have even known that Virginia had an Illinois county back then, church records and so on. But the best one to start at is at Illinois United States Genealogy. So we're going to start there. And when you do that, this is what shows up. Now it says Illinois, but think of this page for Sweden. We'll look at some of the Sweden later on. Germany, Württemberg, Mexico, Saskatchewan, Cook County, a lot of different geographic, certainly all of the countries, provinces, counties, etc., have a page exactly like this. The content will be different, but the arrangement will be the same. And you can quickly see what's here. We've got getting started with Illinois. There's research tools here. But the one I really want you to know about that most people don't know about is the blue button at the bottom right, left here. And if you go to that and click it, you will get a comprehensive list of all of the databases. Now, these are databases, indexes for Illinois records from not only Family Search, but all of our partner sites, which includes Ancestry, Find My Past, Fold 3, Billion Graves. You can see that a lot of these are from Ancestry. Here's one from My Heritage. Here's one from Find My Past. If it has a $, that means there's a fee involved. If there is no $, such as this one up here, then it's free to look at. But any of the $signs can be viewed for free at a Family Search Center. So if you don't have your own subscription, or if the library you go to, such as Oak Park, doesn't have a subscription, you can go to any Family Search Center and see that, use that index for free if you're at the center on their computers. So that's a good plus and another reason to go to centers. In Oak Park, it depends on where you're viewing from, but it could be Naperville, it could be Schaumburg. There is a couple in the city of Chicago, and then there's one in Wilmette in terms of closeness to Oak Park. So this is only the beginning. It goes on for 3 or 4 pages of all of the database indexes available for researching Illinois records. In addition to that, on this home page for Illinois, if you continue to scroll down, you now see some other subjects which pertain to Illinois research. Look at this one for Illinois migration routes. All of the ones that are blue are also wiki articles. So if you want to find out how they may have come up from Tennessee, here's the Nashville-Saline River Trail. Here's the old Cumberland Road or National Road. There's something in Northwest Illinois called the Pecatonica Trail, which would show you how they would migrate from Chicago out to Davenport or Galena or someplace like that, Dubuque. Here's some on railroads, the Illinois Central, the Santa Fe, and so on. These are all separate articles, but there are links to them very quickly on the Illinois page. In addition, there is the family search resources for Illinois. And actually, this would pertain to all of the states and most countries. There are now on Facebook separate communities where others researching in Illinois can exchange information, ask questions, and so on. Here's a link to all of the online courses that Family Search offers regarding Illinois or United States. Here's the link to the historical records. That means the databases and record images. And here's a way to get back to that Family History Center locator map. And here are links to some other websites online, not all of them certainly, but ones that may be rich in Illinois resources. They're listed here at the bottom. So you can see that this wiki article in Illinois gives you a lot of other ideas and places to go look, and you'll take a lot of time if you really check everything out. It will take you days and days and days to get through all of this. Now, taking a look at a country, I wanted to show you some options that are available if you're working in a country that is not English speaking. So here's Sweden. And over here, you see these research tools, and you can see some of the options. Now, the first one I wanted to show you, I'm not going to look at all of them, but the parish register headings. The records are in Swedish, obviously. So how do you figure out what those headings are? Well, you click here, and it will show you. This is a chart that was prepared way before internet. And here's what the chart would say, the actual register on the microfilm, but then here's the English translation of these column headings. So right away now you print this off and you immediately know what each of these headings mean. In addition to that, most foreign countries that have a major presence on the resource list at Family Search also has a word list. And again, there's over 90 of these, and a word list first of all, gives you some background on the language. And then you notice the outline here where we've got language characteristics, keywords, and so on. The language characteristics talk about variant forms like man. And then here's the other words that you could use for profession and so forth. Here's the man, here's men, and on. Here's the alphabet. In this case, the order of the alphabet for Swedish, and you notice that the marked diacritical letters are at the end after Z, so you would have to be aware of that. And then then some ideas for spelling, where B might be used for the letter P, or Q might be used for K when you're trying to find out what it might look like in the official records. And then you have the word list, or the keywords. So here's our keywords that we're always looking for in our research. And here's what those words would look like in Swedish. And you notice for marriage how many options there are, how many different words could be used just for the word marriage. And then finally, there is a word list, which is in every it's a very extensive dictionary. It runs over 90 pages for Sweden, and you can print that out and keep that on your desk for reference. I'm just putting a reminder here that the wiki is not just geographical locations. There are articles for all religious denominations, all over the world. There are many, many occupations have a wiki article. Certainly all the migration trails, canals, railroads are also covered. And then there's a large section on how to use the various things in family search that you may want to look out. In the search box for wiki, just type family search and you'll see all the things that come up there. So that's the wiki. I've covered it quickly, but I've wanted you to be aware of the possibilities, and I would suggest you take time over the next couple of days to go into the wiki and just kind of play around and explore. Now we're going to move on to the digital library. This has been there for a while, but again, most people don't know about it because they don't go far enough down the list. And it's growing. It's now over 600,000 volumes. It is a partnership between the Family History Library, or Family Search Library, excuse me, we've recently changed names and I still kind of stumble. Between the Family Search Library in Salt Lake City and all of these partner libraries. I think you can determine for most of them where they are. If not, the Midwest Genealogy Center is in Kansas City. This is upstate New York, Onondaga County, and so on. This list is growing. These are the partners who are helping to develop this digital library of resources that we can use for our research. So when I go to the main homepage, I'm going to choose the word books. Now, it is the digital library, but the drop down says books. And then it goes to the advanced search screen is what I'm showing you. This is in the handout. You can search by keyword. It says up here over 500,000, but they are now well over 600. They just haven't changed the number on this screen. So you can search by keyword. You can search by words within a title. Not the whole title, but any words that would appear in the title. You can search by subject, such as a religion, or if you have a particular author that you want to see which of his books are in this digital library, you could search by that. The digital library is, you can see here, books, family histories, maps, yearbooks, and more. It is mostly, not exclusively, but mostly any of the books that these partner libraries have that I have gone out of copyright that are now in public domain, which would mean 1927 and earlier. But if a particular author has granted permission for it to be placed in the digital library and it's newer, it will be there if permission has been granted. So even newer books are there, newer resources. And some of them are still in the digital library as an indication to you that should you go to the library that holds that book, then you know it's there and it operates somewhat as a catalog for planning trips. So I'm going to show you one search only. I'm looking for a book that is called John Blair of Guilford County, North Carolina, and Some of His Descendants. Now that's the whole title of the book. But the keywords within that title are Blair, Guilford, and North Carolina. So I'm doing that. I hit my search button and it comes up to this screen showing thumbprints of each of those books. You notice up here that just with those words, I have over 163,000 hits. Now it is that high because it doesn't treat it as a phrase. It shows me everything that has Blair, everything that has Guilford, everything that has North, and everything that has Carolina. So totally, it is over 163,000 hits. But the one that matches all four of my words is always going to be the first list in the list of hits. So here you can see John Blair of Guilford County, North Carolina, and Some of His Descendants. And this is the first page of the book in the thumbnail. And then it goes on. You can see here's Blair and here's County and here's Guilford. So this one might be interesting for me to look at as well. Then here's something in Old Guilford, which may or may not be North Carolina. And then down here again, we have Blair's, and you can see how that works. But the one that has all four or 3 of 4 or something like that will be the very first option on your list of hits. So I'm going to look at that one first. And what opens up is the digital folder for that book. You can think of it as a digital microfilm because that's exactly what it looks like. Here's page 1, 2, 3, 4, and so on. It tells me up here that there are 284 pages in the book, and number 1 is the one highlighted. But what you need to do, rather than start working your way through this, is to come up here to the upper right corner, right up here in the very top, and you want to download this digital folder. So you hit the download, that's the ubiquitous download symbol. You hit that, you save this folder, and it is saved as a PDF, an Adobe PDF document, and you save it to your own hard drive or thumb drive, which means now you have a copy of this book in digital format at home in your own resources, and you no longer have to access it online. And once you have that, you can open up the PDF document, search for a name, a place, a spouse, anything of that sort, and it will immediately take you to all of the occurrences of that word within the book. And so I searched for Edgar because I was looking for Edgar Blair, son of James Blair, and whoops, okay, what happened? Okay, and you can see up here, it is under James Blair, and he's the son of John Thomas, John Calhoun, and so on. Here's all the information about James, but here's Edgar listed as his oldest son, and Edgar is number 287. So if I went to the next hit, it would take me to Edgar and so on. So having this book as a PDF document on your own hard drive or thumb drive allows you to access it anytime you want without the internet. It is now part of your library. I cannot say enough about we need to use this digital library a lot more than we do. All right, now let's move on to historical records. Now this will be in your handout. It is my suggestion of how you research historical records, not only on Family Search, but also on Ancestry and any of the other main source websites online. The first thing you should do is identify where a record would be found. So you town, parish, or township, the county, the state or province, the country, and in fact, if possible, you should try to identify all 4 of these because different records are created at each of these 4 levels. And once you know where you're going to look, then you need to identify what kind of record am I looking for? Am I looking for a baptismal record? Am I looking for a death record? Am I looking for an obituary? And then what is the time frame that that record would have had to be created for me to get the information I am trying to find? And once you've identified place, the record type, and the time, then you are now ready to go and start looking for a name. So to shorten it, I call it the where, what, when, who process. You do it in this order for the greatest success in finding your historical record that you're trying to locate. So let's look at Family Search. And this is the very first option under search. So search records. And this is the screen that comes up, and you'll see 3 options here. One is to immediately go look for a name. Now we just looked at the who is step number 4. You can do this with very uncommon names in very localized areas just to see how many hits you get for a given surname that might be something very unique to an area. Or you might want to look at just a particular small area like one county and how many people of that surname are in that county. But again, it's going to be too broad, mainly for you to really get much use of it. You're going to get huge numbers of hits for most people. Down here is the section of searching the index databases, and the quickest way to do that is browse all collections rather than to try to guess the exact title of the database. But the best way, and what I call the one-stop shop, is right over here under Browse Places. Search by place. Remember that the first step is where in my four-step process. So I want to browse places, and I'm going to choose. So when I do that, this is what comes up. And each of these are large regional areas of the world. So we have Asia, Africa, South America, Central America. This is Europe and Russia all together, because Russia is part of Europe and part of Asia. It's included with the Europeans, since most people that migrated from Russia either went to Western Europe first or on to North America or South America. So they're included together. And then we have the places in the South Pacific, Australia, New Zealand. Over here is a way to quickly look at, let's say, if I wanted to look at Africa, various African countries. But the best way is to come up here to the search box and do a country, province, or state, and then enter where you're interested in. So I'm going to do Scotland. And when I did that, then the next screen, here's my Scotland one-stop shop, as I call it, for what's available on Family Search and other places. So first of all, you can go to a guided research looking for how do I find a birth certificate, etc. But moving down over here under Learning Center, now this page is in your handout as a sample. This is as a sample of what all of these pages are going to look like. And I just chose Scotland just because I have a lot of Scottish. So under Learning Center, you see that there are 12 webinar courses that Family Search has developed that either has some information about the Scots-Irish or the Scot, and you can work yourself through it. Here's one on Scottish indexes and so on. You can find a complete list just by clicking a button at the bottom. And these are there for you to look at any time at home, whenever you feel like it. You can start a lesson, and then if you need to go away, you can stop it. It would come back to that point when you restarted it. It is a very excellent source of how to do research within the country you've selected up here. The next is the indexed historical records, the databases. What databases are there on Family Search for Scotland or that have Scottish records? And you can see down here that there are 23 collections. Here's the first 5. Again, you can open them up to see what all 23 of them are. And it's a quick way to determine what's been indexed for the particular country you're working on. If you keep scrolling down that page, then we have current indexing projects if, and it's a big if, there are any. Currently, there are not many English-speaking, English-written projects out there. They have mostly been indexed, but they are looking for help in a lot of other languages, primarily Spanish, but also the Scandinavian languages, French, Italian, and so forth. And also, especially anyone who can read the Russian alphabet and is fluent enough to be able to index those records. So there could be, depending on your country, there may be indexing projects that you might feel you want to help with, and then you would just click on the project, and then it would take you to it. But for most of the English-speaking world, there are very, very few projects now to be listed. The other section on the middle of the page is the genealogies, and you can search right away in all of these genealogies. You notice there are 73 of them. These are from various different sources. Now you can see one is the pedigree resource file. Pedigree resource file is people's trees that they submitted before Family Search went online. We used to get copies of it in CD format. Now it's all available online. There's something called Roots Finder. There are 6 people in this particular list. You can see the numbers. The Guild of One Name Studies has something for Gidley of Dean Pryor and something for Chicken Cumberland. 1,700 names in this one, 271 in this one. And then this at the top 5, we have Scotland ministers of the Church of Scotland, all the way from the 1600s to the 1900s. It goes to about 1927. And notice there are 88,000 plus ministers listed in this database. They are not sourced. So that is why it's under genealogies and not under record sources, because there are no sources or few sources with any of these 2073, but there may be something there of use to give you a hint. Now, if you continue down the screen, this is all from that home screen. Then you get to the next section, which is image-only historical records, and you notice there's no records collections found. This does not mean there are no digital records for Scotland. What it means is that all of the digital records that are available for Scotland have been indexed. So since they've all been indexed, there are no image-only available to look at. To show you what would happen, I'm going to show you Chicago Catholic Church records. Now, this is a image-only database for Chicago. If we were looking at Cook County, it would have shown up there, or for Chicago, it would have shown up there. You notice that there are 295,000 plus images. Now, an image is not a person, that's a page in a register. So there's well more than 295,000 people listed in these images. Don't let the number scare you. It really is easier than it seems, and that's why I'm showing you today. So you click on Browse, and you see here, because we're in the Chicago Catholic Records, what it takes you to is a list of all of the Catholic parishes in the Archdiocese of Chicago in Cook and Lake counties. So you would scroll through the list, find one that would interest you, such as Sacred Heart Parish, where my great-grandfather and grandmother lived for part of their life, and it's on 19th Street, as opposed to all of these other Sacred Heart parishes. But here's the one I would be interested in. So I would click there, and now it would show me, well, there are several folders for Sacred Heart Parish on 19th Street, and each folder is broken down by chronologically. So we have all of these baptisms, and then we have confirmations and so forth. So my Uncle George was born in 1898. I can't even say it. I apologize. 1898, and so that would sort of fit here, and maybe up here too, but let's look at that one. And when I click it open, what do you see? You see the digital image of the microfilm. And now essentially you can pretend that you were sitting at that old microfilm reader looking at the first image, one of 440, on that roll of microfilm. And just as you would have worked in the microfilm, you can do a thumbprint so you can scroll through quickly. You can enter image numbers up here to jump around and work your way in and out to find the record you're looking for, just as you were using the old microfilms. It's not difficult, and it actually allows you to zero down to an exact roll that you wanted to look at. They're not indexed, but they are available as image only, and that's why I wanted you to see that so you wouldn't be scared off. Now, as I said, for Scotland, there are none, but for a large portion of the world, you would find a list of image-only records up here. And then finally, we have and access to what's available in the Family Search catalog, which represents what's available at the Family Search Library in Salt Lake City and possibly online. So here's the catalog material. There are a total of 6,541 under birth, marriage, and death. You can also choose probate, and you can also choose census, but there's 6,500 plus just for birth, marriage, death. It's in alphabetical order, numbers first. So you would want to come down here and click see all of the material. And when you click that button, it changes to, oh, I wanted to remind you why you would do this. On Family Search, only roughly 30% of all of the digital images that are there are indexed, roughly only 30%. 70% are not indexed, and you would need to find them either through that image only section or through the catalog. Now, for Scotland, it apparently, because there were no image only, you would think, well, I don't need to go to the catalog, but that's only for the digital records. The books are not listed yet. The magazines are not listed yet. All of the other non-digital sources are only in the catalog. So you would want to go there. And then when you click that button, this is what shows up. It looks a little different. It is actually taking you to the catalog. You can see that up here. And this is a list of all of the subjects that are in the catalog for Scotland, because everything says Scotland. And the numbers tell me how many titles are then in each subject heading. And if you look in the in your handout, it will say catalog subject results screen. This is what it would look like. So you scroll through, you find a subject heading that interests you, such as biography, and you click the little arrow, and then it opens up and shows you all of the 91 titles that are under biography. And then you pick one of them and click it open. And now you are in the catalog entry, in this case for Biographical Dictionary of Eminent Scotsmen in 4 volumes. It tells me who the author is. It tells me it was originally published in 1855 in Glasgow by the publisher Blackie. It comes in 5 volumes and so on. And there's the subject class at the library in Salt Lake City. Remember, this catalog is for the Family Search Library. But here you notice that volumes 2, 3, 4, and 5 have been digitized. Now, why not number 1? I don't know. But you can click immediately on the blue here, and it would take you right to that digital copy of the book that is also can be found through the digital library. And down here, it actually tells you what each one is. This apparently is a supplement because it goes from A to W, and 2, 3, 4, and 5 are in digital format. So you can just immediately click and go to it. If it is, volume 1 is only available as a book in Salt Lake City. Now, to show you another option, this is from Cook County, Illinois Coroner's Inquest records from December of 72 to November of 11. And you notice it's manuscript, which means it's handwritten on film originally. It was done at the Office of the Secretary of State. It was originally 52 microfilm reels. If I scroll down, however, I find out that those 52 microfilm reels, most of them have been digitized. Now, this goes back to my basic, those symbols. There's the black camera, but there's a key. So you have to go to see this at a Family Search affiliate library or a Family Search center. And if you come down here, you notice this is still available only as a microfilm for some reason. I'm not sure I know why. And well, where can I find that microfilm? Now, this is the new part. And I did I did not give you this in the handout, and I apologize. So you might want to make good notes here. So you're down in the list of microfilms, and it shows you the cameras, but there is still a one that is only available in microfilm right here. What you need to do is to come up to this box, and where it says Family History Library, they haven't changed that to Family Search Library yet. This is the library in Salt Lake City. Well, unless I'm going to Salt Lake City, this doesn't help me much. But there is a little arrow here for drop down. And if you click that, it will then show you every family search center that has that microfilm in its drawers, in its collection. And you notice that Wilmette has this roll of microfilm on site at the Wilmette Family Search Center. So it's not very many. I'm not quite sure I know why Lexington, Kentucky or Klein, Texas would have it, but they do. Somebody at some point brought that microfilm out to those centers and kept them there. But close for us is Wilmette. So even though this is still a microfilm, I have access to it relatively closely in the Wilmette Center. And if I go back, again, it is up here in this box under location, and you click that little arrow and it will show you every place that has that microfilm. Okay, moving on. Let's take a quick look at, yeah, actually we're over time.
Might be a good time just to insert a quick, I have a quick question here from one of the panelists, one of the attendees. They ask, is there a keyboard shortcut to browse these pages?
No, there isn't. I don't know why they haven't done it, but they haven't done it. It is strictly by going up to that box and putting in a number of an image, and it jumps around that way. There is no shortcut yet. Maybe they'll do it someday, but not yet. How much time do I have? I know I've gone over, Ed. Well, I'll keep going. Quickly, I wanted to just quickly show you a few things on Family Tree. Again, this is in the handout when you get it. Up here in the top corner, when you go onto Family Tree, it defaults to a pedigree chart view. But if you come up to that corner, up here in the corner, and I'll blow it up, you can change the view to any other option. Well, no, I'm sorry. First, you can change what's displayed. You can show record hints, record suggestions. This is a new function within the tree if you have a tree. And the other option is to change the view. That was pedigree, landscape. Well, here's portrait. You can also do a descendants view from that person. And now they also have different fan charts, which shows different information. So this is mine, and it shows that almost all of my mother's side is born in Scotland, and my father's side is a combination of the United States and Ireland. And all of the white boxes are unknowns, or they're empty because I haven't identified that person yet. You can also do a research helps, and these are problems in red, these are the actual hints, and these are ideas for further research in purple. There's about 7 different fan chart views that you can also choose. I did include this in your handout, so you do have this list of what all of these little parts of this represent, and I'll leave that to you to go through in the handout. Here's my father's page, and down here, on the right side, there's a section called Search Records, and it has links to all of our partner sites, Ancestry, Find My Past, and so on. And what it does, when you click one of these, it takes this basic vital information about my father and uses that as search terms to search whichever one of these websites you would want to choose. So it's a quick way to go search Ancestry, for example, to see what records they might have on William James Brady Sr., born in 1901, died in 1906, Chicago. So it takes this information, kind of preloads it into the search screen when you go to any of these sites. So I wanted you to know about that. If I scroll down further, there are 2 new things have been added. under the events, which are all anything you want to put in there, really, including alternate names. But if you see over here under add event, you can add all of these. These are in your handout, so you don't need to make quick notes. You can choose any of these events to add to the outline for your person, in this case, for my dad. So you can even put in title of nobility and so on. That's event. This is something that creates a record. That's why it's under event. But in addition to that, under facts, these aren't going to be things that have a record per se, but you can click fact and you can put in a caste name, especially if you're dealing with East Asia. You can put in national origin, but key now, this person had no couple relationship, meaning they were not common law, they were not married, they were not just living together. There perhaps was a child, but that couple did not live together and raise that child together. So you can there's now a way to indicate that as a no couple relationship. And for those people that never had children, you can also now say no children. And what that does is that Family Search will stop looking for children for that family as a hint. You can also put in physical description. You can put in tribe of Native American and so on. This is the facts. And then there was the events. Both lists are in your handout. You scroll further down. This should be familiar. You have the parents and all of the siblings here. And then you have William James with wife 1, wife 2, and their children with their marriage dates. You notice that he's bold here and bold here and bold here. The bold indicates to you that this is the same person in all three lists. But I want you to keep going down because now they've added something below this. You can see here's dad with my mom and me, but where I want you to look now is at the other relationships. They have added an other relationships function within the tree. And if you add that, the list is apprenticeship, employment, enslavement. You can now add a godparent, someone who lived in the household in a census, but whose blood relationship is unknown. You can list a neighbor and you can list a relative. I've still not figured out quite what lineage gap could be used for, but I think it would be, for instance, if a grandchild is being raised by a grandparent, that there's a generation missing and that's a lineage gap. And so you could note that. That's how I think it is, but I'm not positive. But these others, you can relatively understand how that would be used. So this is new within the last month, and that's in the tree. And once you have a tree now, there's a section on the homepage called activities. And here's all of the options. These are all things that you can do individually or with your family, with your children, grandchildren. And in your handout, I gave you a little bit of an outline of what these all are. So again, you don't have to quickly write them all down. So that was a quick view. Actually went over. I apologize for that. On Family Search and what it can offer, I suggest you just spend your time as much as possible just going in and clicking and having fun and just see where it takes you. And that does it for me on the slides. So now we can come back. Are there any questions?
Thank you, Maureen. Yes. Let's see if does anyone have any questions?
It's under chat. Okay, that was the sheet.
I'm nervous.
I don't see any. I don't see any, Ed. If my records are on Ancestry, will they also be shown on Family Search? I'm assuming you mean by that you have an Ancestry tree, and the answer to that is no. That part is not being indexed at Family Search. However, if you have a Family Search account and an Ancestry account, I won't go into how to do it, but there is a help thing in the wiki. You can drag your ancestry tree to Family Search, and then Family Search will start using it to help find sources and hints.
I can answer the one question. You can access Family Search and Ancestry at all three branches of the library, the main one here, and then of course the Dole branch on the northeast side and the Dole branch on the southeast side. And just access them at the public computers that are available.
Ed, I didn't have a chance to ask you or to check on it. Is Oak Park an affiliate library?
We are an affiliate library, yes.
All right. So since Oak Park is an affiliate library, at the library, at any of those branches, I'm assuming, you can then access any of those databases that show up in the wiki page as a database for your state or country or county or whatever. As long as it's on that list in the wiki, you should have access to it at the affiliate library as well. No, I'm sorry, not the databases, the images. If the image is locked, you should be able to see it at the Oak Park Library.
Maureen, I think you said something about this, but I'm not sure. Can people request microfilm?
No.
No. Okay.
They have not circulated microfilms for, well, it's before COVID.
Oh, yeah.
So close to 5 years, if not. And that is, and the main reason for that is there is no company in the world that makes the blank film anymore.
Oh.
So they can no longer make copies of the microfilms to send us. That is the main reason. And then the other part of it was they were digitizing so quickly with their machine. They actually developed their own process, invented their own machines and so forth, that they realized they were going to be able to digitize everything anyway fairly quickly. And so microfilms really weren't going to be needed. And so those were the two main reasons that they switched to no circulation about 5 years ago. The equipment that they used to digitize those microfilms, and this is something I read, so I'm pretty confident it's true. They could digitize an entire roll of microfilm in 30 seconds. So that's how good their equipment was. Indexing is a whole nother issue, but to get it digital. So that was the main reason. We can't get the microfilms anymore. But if you need the microfilm, such as that case with the coroner's records for Cook County, you can find where it is still at, because none of the centers, at least those here in the Chicago area, returned our films. We still all have them. What was there on that date when they stopped the circulation, we still have them, and we still have them available for people to come and use. We still have the machines, the viewers, and so on. So I think that answer is no, they do not circulate anymore, but they are around some places.
Okay, I also posted the attachment again, the handout again in the chat section. I believe all you'll have to do is just click on it. Let's see here. Yeah, click on it and it'll open, and then you just download it to your own computer.
And as I suggested, then once the recording becomes available, watch the recording and then have your handout so you can make your notes as you go.
Yeah, and I will, what I'll do is I'll work on finding out how to get, I'll have to ask somebody how to do that still, but we'll have it, I think we'll have it out, early next week. So if I can get it done, so yeah.
So any other questions? If you, Buffalo Grove isn't that far from Elmhurst. Ask Mark Zook, she knows. If you want to, I work up there during the day every other Tuesday, or I can meet people there too. So if you wanted to come up and meet me at the center and I could walk through this with you up there, I'd be willing to do that. Otherwise, I think, Ed, we're done.
I think we are. Yeah, let's double check. I'll just double check here. Yeah, I got the handout. Okay. Yeah. Well, thank you all for coming, and we're still in here, and let me just okay, yeah, and I believe we're gonna have for those of you who are still on, I think we're gonna have some genealogy programs coming up in the fall, and so watch our calendar, and I'll also pass along the information directly to Karen as well. So thank you again for coming. So, and of course, thank you, Maureen, as well. Okay, so we'll see you all later, and we'll take it from here. Let me
Okay, goodbye, everyone.
bye. I'm gonna hit stop. Okay. Okay. Yes, I